I'm also here to testify in favor of House Bill 5150, which is trying to address, our hemp and cannabis regulations. And I'm asking for an addition to be considered in that bill, specifically to contemplate adding in the illegal sale of cannabis to be included as a CUPA violation under Connecticut law. And this request is specifically arising out of a situation in my community where we have voted for a moratorium on any dispensaries, on any sales. And we have basically a very active storefront that's essentially distributing large quantities of THC products. I've also heard even beyond THC products, but actual hallucinogenics and other drugs. And our law enforcement are in a situation under our current laws, it's impossible and very difficult to be able to shut this establishment down. DCP has no jurisdiction because they're not licensed in the state of Connecticut. My thought is if we add the CUPA provisions, it gives the ability for private individuals to come in and remove these bad actors from our community, putting aside the impact that it has on our cannabis industry to have an unregulated seller effectively in the state of Connecticut. It's also putting us in a situation in our community, they're violating zoning laws, they're violating healthcare laws, and there's just no way to get our agencies to be able to come in and shut it down. But a private course of action, if we're able to hit these organizations in the pocketbook, we may have a shot of tamping down this illegal market. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Leader Candelora. I think just as a sort of initial comments, I want to note, obviously, we've worked well together on this committee and then in the House and Senate. I think there's large, broad bipartisan support for strengthening our enforcement members. We created a regulated market, and we want the products to be sold in that regulated market. And a lot of what we're considering today, that theme is going to permeate a lot of the testimony and questions today, because that's really what you're seeing from this committee in the past and this year. So I'm appreciative of the suggestion, and I like the idea of building in a per se CUPA violation for violations. There's separate things we need to do, frankly, on the criminal enforcement side, which is not under the jurisdiction of this committee, obviously. That's judiciary. But speaking for myself, here's the majority Republican leader in the House and Democratic chair of the committee agreeing on the need for enforcement. And again, I like conceptually the idea of a per se CUPA violation. I'm a little uncomfortable with the idea of the private right of action. You probably understand why. I certainly like the idea of building in the CUPA violation that then arms DCP and the AG's office, our regulatory bodies, to enforce. On the private right of action, where does that money go? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree on that piece. I think under our current CUPA laws, DCP could create the regulations and then give the authority to the AG. I much more prefer that as well. And I think it would give them the ability to come in because, frankly, it isn't about individuals being able to privately collect on these. It's about stopping this illegal activity. So I would agree with you. I think that avenue, which is already in current law, if there's a way we can make it specifically for DCP, I would have no problem with that.
Yeah, and that we could take your concept and build off of that, and then there's no question they have that enforcement power under CUPA, which gives them the power for $5,000 in fines per violation, disgorgement of profits. We're also considering a separate bill this year that will actually make sure that DCP can take away licensure, but as you mentioned, a number of these entities aren't within the regulated marketplace, and so that sort of neuters that. But I like arming our enforcement agencies and making it a per se violation, and then they can go in and use all those enforcement powers under CUPA the way you're envisioning it. Representative Bertigliano?
I had a question for you, Mr. Chairman. Just on the general topic, can a municipality be included in the one able to bring a per se CUPA?
That's not in our statutes right now, and I think we'd all have to sort of think about that, whether we want to expand the Connecticut Unfair Trade Practices Act to be enforced by municipality. Keep in mind, of course, municipalities have broad zoning power right now. So maybe there's something we can do in conjunction with planning development and zoning powers to say that a violation here not only is a CUPA violation, but automatically refers that entity to a local zoning enforcement agency for further penalty or review or something like that.
I only bring that up because it does seem that a lot of the complaints come up from the municipalities and then they get frustrated, either local PD or local zoning or just the municipality itself. I don't know if Representative Camp.
I mean, what we're experiencing in our community, we have, local zoning that is having trouble even just enforcing their own zoning. So in my mind, they already have the ability to shut this establishment down, but they're having hurdles. I mean, there's already health code violations in that they're selling food in this establishment without a license, but we don't have our health district coming in to enforce that. And the third piece is for our police. They've gone in, they have gathered information. Who do they serve the arrest warrant to? Because it sort of is a corporate entity, which complicates it. So they're still working with the state, and this has been going on for 8 months. And it's gotten so brazen that driving up here today, I'm a big fan of WPLR. If you turn on Chaz and AJ, they were advertising and talking about an activity that's going to occur next Wednesday at this facility. And so we're at a point now, I know these laws are put into place to stop the black market, but it really is starting to get so brazen and out of control that there is nobody there to be able to regulate this market. And that's why I'm thinking, well, maybe the AG has already shown an interest in going after the licensed ones that are illegally selling these products. Maybe that as an extension, this will give them more tools.
Yeah, I think you've got full agreement here from me, certainly. I like the idea of building in that power, and that way there's no question. You can go right in for the injunction. You can go right in for the penalties and not have to worry about meeting that sort of threshold hurdle. So I thank you for bringing it to us.